Welcome to Canada, France, Abu Dhabi, North Carolina, England, Nottingham, Ireland, San Diego, Canada, Switzerland, Venezuela, St. Louis, Valerie. Oh my God, we have Botswana in the house, Dubai, Texas. I'm in Texas as well. Hello, Belgium, Austria, Vancouver, Mozambique, Essex, Queens, Dubai, England, Hong Kong, Belgium, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Minneapolis, San Diego, Canada, New York, baby, Prague, Scotland, London, Romania, Switzerland, Hungary, Iowa, Seattle. As you can see, this is an international audience, so really excited that all of you are here and all of you are fans of Marissa Peer, fans of RTT. Really excited to deliver this open house today. Let me give you a little backstory. Um, when I was originally working with a company a few years ago now. I wanted to ask myself, like, gosh, if you weren't an RTT student, if you didn't already go through the program, what would be the greatest experience that you could have if you were interested in RTT to know what it would feel like to be a student, what it would feel like to develop this skill set? And I was sitting there just in silence, eyes closed one day, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you could do like an open house like people used to do at colleges? Like you'd go visit a university or you would go and visit maybe a private school, or you would visit a music school for a day, and you would do a drop in just to see what it would feel like, what it would be like. And that's where this idea originally came from, doing an open house for you so that you could come in, you could experience a classroom, you could learn everything that you'd need to know about RTT, sort of like a campus tour. And so today is going to be your campus tour. I'm curious how many of you are interested in learning to become a rapid transformational therapist in the future. So just in the chat here, who I see Danica wants to be RTT. We got people coming in from Munich. Elizabeth, Justine, Veronica, May, Wendy, Bakshu, Layla, Roderick, Vasiliki, Una, Penelope. Amazing. And I'm curious, why do you want to be an RTT therapist? Before I get into the presentation, because I'm assuming I know what you want to know, but what is it that you think is so special about RTT? I know it's amazing. I know it's going to change the world. It already has, and it's going to do even more of that. And the more you learn about the company and what we're up to and how we're trying to contribute to your student experience and trying to, really help the world through you, we'll talk about that. But Wendy is to help myself and people. Arlene says we need rapid change now. Absolutely, we do. Instant transformation to help. Absolutely. Our mantra is help people today, to serve, support people, well-being in a journey, self-healing, making audios. I love that. Change the trajectory of people's lives. Absolutely 100% doable. Help to transform, help people change into a better version of themselves. How quickly you can dive into the root cause. Absolutely. It's incredible for exactly that. You're all hitting the nail on the head. This is amazing. And I'm curious for your own personal life. What are the benefits that you think RTT is going to provide? Number one, through the training. What is mastering your own mindset, mastering your own beliefs, your thoughts, your emotions? What is the benefit from that to you? And I'm also curious, from a business perspective, do you want to do this full time? Do you want to do this part time? Or is this a journey for yourself? And maybe it's all three, and that's totally acceptable. But I'm curious, of those three, a journey for yourself, part time or full time, what's the most inspiring for you? If anything were possible, and I do teach the business workshops for the program, what would you prefer? Okay, I'm getting a lot of answers here. You want to make it your career full time to help people give a listening ear full time. Integrate into your coaching practice. We have a lot of that. That's awesome. Jetta is part time. Jason is full time. Marta, all three, of course. Heather is part time. Paul is full time. Justine is full time. Full time. Wow, a lot of people want to go full time with this. That's amazing. Oh, yeah, full time for a lot of people. That's incredible. I actually was expecting part time. This is awesome. I'm so excited for you in 2025 to be able to have the opportunity to really go into that. This is amazing, everybody. Want to use it as a tool to change habits and reach goals? Absolutely. Curious. Dr. GP want to incorporate into the practice. We have a whole community of people that are doctors that do this. They're incredible. Um, this is a seminar for people who want to be therapists in the future. So if training in this, if mastering the mind, mastering these tools and RTT, and I'll teach you all about what that means throughout this, we'll talk about that today. Miranda wants to change her own life first. Awesome. Want to integrate into your art therapy. Want to see if it works for people with ADHD. Anyone on here have ADHD that's experienced RTT? Yvonne, long time no see. Amazing. If you can't hear, you can go to Zoom settings and check your audio source. Sometimes just resetting it helps. Learn new skills in therapy. Amazing. Well, let's get into the program. It's really good to have met some of you already. Oh, you want to combine it with your yoga? I have a good friend who does that. So let's get into it. I'm going to teach you all about what RTT is, what the training is all about. Just clarifying, can everybody hear me right now? Sometimes when I click on the share screen, perfect, you can hear me. Fantastic. Okay, so who am I? I'm the CEO of RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy. That means a bunch of different things, but we'll get into it throughout the day. I want to welcome you in. I have a co-host here, Kira Ash, our head of RTC, the coaching division of the company. She is amazing. I've been honored to have had many conversations with her, and I've even been on a whole tour of London with her. Fantastic human being that I know you're all going to love. She's going to walk you through an exercise in a little bit. So, one of our favorite tools in the RTT toolkit is called RFPI. Role, function, purpose, intention. And we're going to bring you through a little 10-minute experience of that tool in probably about 20, 30 minutes. So hold on to your seats for that one. I know you're going to love it. Kira, welcome in. I know they can see you off to the side of the screen there, I believe, if you want to give a little wave. So let me give you a little bit of background about how I came to be with RTT. So I actually used to heal injuries and work with people, Olympic athletes, CEOs of public companies. And at one point, I actually was in Jamaica and I was in a speaker dance-off. It was raining a little bit. I was dancing for the Buddhist monk Gelung Tubten, who didn't want to do the speaker dance-off, monk stuff. And while I was dancing for him, I got a little too excited and I broke 3 bones in my right ankle and foot. And about a week later, after getting an x-ray, I went and saw Marissa, and she was a friend at the time. And she said, "Oh, let me do this RTT technique on you to help you," because I was limping and in a lot of pain. And for about 20 minutes, me with the science background, I was like giggling. She had me close my eyes. She just said command words to my body. She walked me down 10 steps on the stairs, and I was like, yeah, this is a bunch of woo woo mumbo jumbo. And after 20 minutes, me giggling throughout it, I stood up and I stopped limping immediately. Now, again, I have x-rays. I have a background in healing injuries for Olympic athletes, and this woman just commanded my body to heal, and I stopped limping. I have no scientific explanation for it. I have x-rays now that my foot is fully healed. It's been years since this occurrence. But basically, I said, okay, what do you do? I'm all in now. Now that I've experienced it, it was something incredible, and I was very what move? I was jumping when this happened. It was kind of embarrassing, but it was cool because I got to experience this with Marissa. And so from that point on, I said, whatever it is that you do, I am now supportive of that. I don't know if it's going to work for everybody. Results may vary, but it did for me, and I didn't believe in it at all, and it still was such an incredible experience. So. I now guide people through building their businesses with RTT. This is a screenshot. Maybe some of them are on here. These are some incredible RTT grads that are building their businesses. I've guided them to build like real full-time businesses. They're really helping people live better lives. They know exactly who they help and why they help them. It takes time to do it. I've been with this group for over 3 months now, but they're able to build freedom and they're able to build more time into their lives to choose what they want to do. Incredible human beings, I'm sure you'll hear about in the future. This is us going through a sales call checklist that I've built specifically for RTT therapists to use, which are free resources that you get as part of the training program once you're ready to really build a business. Um, as an example, we teach them how to create their own transformational audios. Some people worked with improving sleep, anxiety, confidence, and building social media content that really attracts the ideal customers. So, on the back end of you becoming an incredible RTT therapist, we also support you, and there's a big community of people teaching you how to build this business into a full-time stream. We'll talk about that kind of throughout the day, but mainly we're on a mission for you to learn how to help people today. And so that's why we're here today. But let's talk about the training, what it all involves, and how you can get really good at this. So, number one, you're going to become a student of the mind through the RTT training. If you think you understand psychology now, what's great about it is you have the understanding. Now you can have the tools to actually affect it. I mean, just as a question, how many people here in the chat have like a family member that has serious problems or a close friend that has serious problems, and you know it's due to like beliefs that were formed or maybe negative influences on their lives, and you'd really love to see them change, but you're not sure how, or if you just had like a really powerful way of doing it, you know it would help them so much. Or maybe you find yourself in like a self-destructive pattern or self-sabotage, and you're like, gosh, I wish I could change this. And not just for a day, not just motivation or willpower, but really reprogram the subconscious reason why this happens for you. Seeing a lot of yeses. If anyone's okay to share, and you don't have to publicly in the chat, but what are the things you'd like to reorient for yourself? What are the things you'd like to reorient for the people that you love in your life or people that you know? Negative thoughts, absolutely not enoughness, quit smoking, alcoholism, depression, self-image, OCD, love life, absolutely attracting incredible love in your life. Marissa did a session with me on that. It's actually on YouTube. Anxiety, misophonia, worthiness, and scarcity. Absolutely. These are incredible things. Imagine if you were this specialist at this in the world, how incredible that could be, how many people you would help, and how it would feel to actually help them and help yourself with all of these things as well. A lot of the time, we teach what we most want to learn. So, number two is mastering the power of choosing beliefs. How many of you can choose a new belief right now? Like, I would love to choose the belief of I'm the most amazing presenter in the world and I just feel pure confidence when I present. That's a belief I would love to choose. What's a belief that you would love to choose for yourself? And then, of course, one of the most impactful things about RTT is uncovering the root cause of negative beliefs. That's what most of the tools are oriented around in the beginning of the process, which we'll go through in a little bit and show you what those look like. Thank you, Arlene. I appreciate that. I am invincible at any age. What an incredible belief. Um, when people work with me, I see positive changes occurring in their life. Amazing. I'm an amazing hypnotherapist. Amazing. I deserve becoming a multimillionaire and deserve and teaching many to do the same. Amazing. And then, of course, helping people live a truly better life today, especially yourself. So let's talk about why RTT is the way it is. You know, back in the day, Marissa used to work in the group fitness industry, and she noticed a lot of people who were going to these exercise classes were just repeatedly doing these classes and seeing, yes, like physical results, but they had clearly mental issues. You know, there were people who had bulimia or anorexia or just body dysmorphia, saw themselves differently than they truly were. And she, over time, discovered that the most impactful technique of all the techniques she was exposed to was hypnotherapy. And the reason is it really allows you to go to the subconscious mind. Like we said before, you can have willpower and say, like, I'm not going to drink coffee ever again, or I'm never going to go out with my friends drinking, or I'm not going to smoke anymore, or I'm going to go to sleep at 9:30 p.m. and I'm going to be the 5 a.m. club. You can say those things, but until the subconscious is really affected by it, it's really hard to stick to it. And so hypnotherapy goes directly at that. And then RTT is actually a combination of these things here: hypnotherapy, NLP, CBT, and psychotherapy, where Marissa's created this incredible series of tools that we use to this day. And just as an example, we all know that icebergs are primarily underwater. Although I did go on YouTube and watch a bunch of icebergs flipping. That's crazy. Has anyone ever seen an iceberg flip? It can create a tsunami. Anyways, same with your subconscious beliefs. If they flip, it can create a tsunami of amazing change in the world. Definitely go YouTube that after this. So, the conscious mind is your planning, your willpower, your critical thinking, but the subconscious mind is all of the things that really drive your life. And so RTT is all about flipping that iceberg and really taking the subconscious and bringing it on your side or bringing it on your client's side so they can truly transform, not just long term, but today as well. So immediate impacts. So traditional therapy usually looks at the conscious, helping you bring things to the surface and then change them. RTT really looks underneath the water and bring the things to the surface much faster. So in hypnosis, this is part of the science of it. I'll go through this quickly, but it's really neat. I think it's cool. Anyone else in here a super nerd that likes brainwaves? When you're going into hypnosis, you're activating the theta and the alpha brainwaves. When you're awake and you're doing what I'm doing right now, you're speaking really quickly. It's usually beta brainwaves. They move quite quickly, they're very fast. Alpha is a little bit slower. This is your focused zone. Theta is usually like if your eyes are closed, you're meditating or in hypnosis. And then delta is usually sleep, but you can see elevated signs of delta in hypnosis, which is super cool because that means you're going at that subconscious. So, hypnotherapy is very different than RTT. So, yes, we utilize hypnotherapy, but RTT is so much more. Hypnotherapy is usually putting you into an induction, getting you to the point where you're in those theta brainwave states, and then creating suggestions like you will be wealthy, you will be healthy. RTT does a lot more than that. You can kind of see briefly here what it looks like, but it's really a whole process of saying we know that bringing you into that hypnosis state is powerful. We know suggestions are powerful, but what about all these things in between? How do we choose the most important things to reprogram? As a matter of fact, how do we discover where the bad beliefs came from that are holding you back so that we can unwind those and then program these new beautiful beliefs that you want that we were talking about earlier? Yadira says she uses alpha brainwaves frequently. That's amazing. So RTT is all about addressing the root cause of why people believe things that create these negative patterns in their life. And there's two goals of people here. We've already gone over this. You either help yourself, help others, ideally both. Hopefully for all of you, it's both. And as Marissa says, the most extraordinary measure of success is actually how many other people you help. And so I teach the business side of this because a successful RTT grad is going to impact 10 times as many people as someone who is not going out there, not bringing in sales, not bringing in revenue. Because the more people they impact and the more those people invest, the deeper the impact, the wider the reach of each of you. So my goal is for each of you to reach a level of success that you really want. And there's a bunch of programs that we go into for that, which we can talk about much later once you're in the program and studying. I do workshops every other week for everybody. So if you enrolled today in the program, you can start coming to my workshops. And actually, in January, I'm doing them every single Friday, which is really exciting. So, RTT is a 6 to 10 month certification program. It's a minimum of 6 months, even for those of you that are sprinters out there. I've known many people who are like, I'm going to get the whole 300 hours of course materials done in 2 months. And they just dive in every single day and they're doing, 10 hours a day or 15 hours a day. But you do need to practice and you need to let the information really soak in because as you're getting ready to help other people, you've got to get a lot of practice sessions in, which Kira and Ariel can talk about in just a little bit here. So you get a couple different certifications when you graduate RTT. You get the certification in applied hypnotherapy, and you get your rapid transformational therapy practitioner certificate. However, we do have a live program that you can go and spend 5 days somewhere amazing in the world, like London or Dubai or Los Angeles or Amsterdam is coming up in July, where you can be with Marissa Peer and a bunch of your other students and practice all of this live in person, where we fly out the best RTT grads in the world that we call our trainers, and they work with you. About 9 people for one trainer for all 5 days. It's really incredible. You make a lot of great friends. We could talk about that later. So these are the most common things that people work with as RTT new grads. And then through the business programs, we help you identify what else you might want to work with and very particular clientele you would work with. So stress and anxiety, boosting confidence, fixing insomnia, belief reprogramming, and everything that kind of falls into that. It's really pretty much anything can be helped, anything where the mind is impacting it. So if the placebo effect would be helpful, RTT is 10 times that. So just imagine if affirmations are helpful, RTT is that on a rocket ship. It's a pretty incredible thing because you're not just saying it, you're actually programming it into people. So it's an incredible skill set. As just some examples, here's Claire. She is a recent RTT grad, but she was actually doing a 3-year diploma in hypnotherapy. But RTT is just so much more powerful than classical hypnotherapy because of being able to reprogram the subconscious and identify where these negative emotions and beliefs came from with people. Anne is actually a clinical psychotherapist who took RTT, and she thinks it's going to become the standard in treatment across the world someday, which more to come on that later. Ian, I got to meet at our Rushton, England event a couple years ago. And he said that every single person in the room that did a session with him felt just like Marissa. And he's not kidding because he actually did have a session with Marissa at that event. So it just shows you how capable all of you are. All the students, there were 90 other students in that room he was having sessions with, said they were all amazing. Sally, her income actually doubled when she added this to an existing modality that she was doing. And then Natalie, she's actually been graduated for quite some time now, and she's given so many sessions, and she actually specializes in group sessions, which is something that you can work on, and we'll talk about in the business workshops. And Amy just has been doing psychotherapy for over 7 years. And again, is just saying this is one of the most powerful tools that you can add to your tool belt. So let's talk about what you're actually going to learn through the process. You're going to be guided step by step through a really incredible learning journey. We had a college recently review the curriculum and said this is the best private practice curriculum they've ever seen from a company that wasn't a full-fledged university. So we've gotten some massive kudos from a program that delivers doctorates on how well laid out this is. Massive kudos to the curriculum team that's developed it. I'm curious, so far, if I just take a little pause, what's been the most eye-opening or enlightening thing for you that we've gone over? Did you learn anything? Is anything really popping out or sparking for you in the chat? Mm-hmm. Potentially doubling your income, empath, excited to use your gifts in this way, feels credible, absolutely. Building clientele, the community rocks, yes, it does. I mean, just imagine everyone that's an RTT student or graduate wants to change the world. They want to impact people's beliefs. They want to program people to have an incredible life. I want to be friends with all of those people. Comparison between traditional modalities and RTT, absolutely getting results, rapid induction. Does RTT help with OCD? I'm going to let Ariel answer that one in the chat. Um, yeah, Ariel is so awesome. Uh, I'm not sure if I should say which university peer reviewed it, so let me hold on that and maybe I'll tell you in the future. I don't know what sort of privacy I have to give to that at this point because it's not officially announced. Mm. Aw, Danielle, a student of RTT and a hairdresser, discovered that a long time back she has the power to help people, working like magic. Awesome. Hmm. RTT and writer's block, absolutely. If you think the mind has something to do with that person's writer's block, and you think that unlocking any negative beliefs or emotions and empowering people and allowing them to believe beautiful things is going to help, RTT is going to help. Excellent diplomacy. Fantastic. You would just like to help yourself, family, and friends. It's beautiful. Hmm. Yumi doesn't even know how they came into this Zoom. Well, it's good to have you here, Yumi. Fantastic. Do we learn how to hypnotize? Absolutely. Yes. There's agreements, Christopher. So I think it's those things are so like kind of public and official. They might want to have like a press release or something like that. So just out of respect for, them, should learn these practices. How can I have a personal appointment? Maybe we can link out inner belief on that one. The vibrational energy at live events is incredible. We do some online events as well, so you'll get to meet a lot of people on Zoom like this, and maybe even in your city. Cool. This is awesome. it's really nice to see all of these things. 2025 live dates are announced. So Dubai, February 17th to the 21st, London, March 3rd through the 7th, Los Angeles, June 21st to the 28th. Amsterdam is the last week of July. Awesome. Okay, let me kick it off with the next slide. And just checking, can everybody hear me? Sometimes when I do the screen share. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, Amsterdam's going to be amazing. Anyone else want to spend some time on the canals? So let's go through the modules and what you learn. So modules 1 through 3 is all about preparing for the journey. A lot of it is about learning communication skills. For those of you that are already coaches or maybe psychotherapists that are on here, this is going to be really just reiterating what you probably know. And for those of you that don't have experience as a therapist or an existing coach, and this is going to help you with communication understanding at a fundamental level so that when you're working with people who have things like anxiety or sleep disorders, it's just going to get you ready to communicate with them in a healthy way. Modules 4 and 5 is going to start really discussing the building blocks of RTT and how we're going to create lasting change in people and the impact of childhood experiences. Marissa says between the ages of 6 and 12 is usually where the bulk, or 7 and 12, of those negative beliefs truly stem from. And then they just evolve and mutate throughout life until before you know it, you're like, you need to flip the light switch on and off 17 times when you leave the room. Anyone else here got something weird like that? I had a friend recently who asked me if I have idiosyncrasies, and I just went down a list. None of them are bothersome, but I just think they're funny, and we all have weird things like that. Or maybe I'm just delusional and we don't. Modules 6 through 10, we're going to get through the actual RTT tools. So this is a map of the tools. Kira or Ariel, are you here right now? And we can just do a quick sprint through a few of your favorite tools. I see Kira's here in the background. Here, I'll go ahead and spotlight you as well. Yep, you there, Kira?
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hey, so let's talk about the first tools. I've got the image that I'll share up here in just a minute. One thing I'm curious about, Kira, how do you utilize RTT and what are the most powerful things you think it's used for?
Oh, such a good question. And it's really nice to see how everyone in the chat is really resonating with what you've already shared and already has plans for how they want to use RTT in future. That's super exciting. So thinking about, how I use RTT and why I decided to train in RTT, it's because I already was in the business of helping people. I already had a coaching practice and I love the results I get from coaching. I love coaching as a modality. And occasionally there'd be clients where I'd feel that the coaching wasn't enough. There was something deeper going on. And I wanted tools that were going to help me safely and effectively work with those deeper issues. So if you're already thinking about how could I use RTT? How is it different from other modalities? Why should I learn one more modality? I would look for those areas in your life or the areas of life of the people around you where people know what they need to do and they don't do it. So, where is there something in someone's life that doesn't make sense? Where is there a pattern that doesn't make sense? It's those kind of issues where you need to go to the subconscious level to find out how it actually does make sense. It's often to do with the inner child. So it could be about breaking patterns. It could be around self-sabotage. We can talk about that later. For some people, that might look like smoking. It might look like I've been trying to write this book for 5 years and I never finish it. I've been trying to.
Oh, be honest, how many of you is that? How many of you?
Who knows that they have a book in them or two? People who are applying for funding for maybe their studies, people who know they need to change career but can't seem to get themselves unstuck. We're getting lots of yes, me too's, me as wells in the chat. So you know what I'm talking about. So those areas where you know what to do and you've probably already tried some practical actions and it doesn't quite stick, it doesn't hold. It's because there's something at your subconscious level that's fighting against that. And there's a good reason for that. And RTT is going to help you and your clients uncover that good reason.
Fantastic. So, Kira, we are going to do a quick exercise on RFPI today. Can you help us explain and figure out why RFPI is used before you get into it?
Yeah, so RFPI stands for role, function, purpose, and intention. I think it's actually my favorite RTT tool, actually, because it really works with the intelligence of the client. And that's one of the things I love about Marissa's teachings is she doesn't insult the intelligence of the client, she actually uses it. So even if you're doing something in your life that you think, gosh, I'm such an idiot, I'm always late, or I keep saying I'm going to start and I never do, I'm such a loser, there's probably an intelligent reason behind it. And RFPI helps you find out what that is. It helps you find out what is the role, the function, the purpose, and intention behind the seemingly nonsensical or non-helpful action or pattern that you're taking. So it's really about finding the wisdom behind your self-sabotage, if that makes sense.
Amazing. So in a classical session, I brought up this map real quick, which I can just sprint through to get us to RFPI, because I know everyone's super excited about the exercise. In the very beginning of an RTT session, you always do an intake process because, like Kira was mentioning, maybe someone comes in and they're like, I really want to write a book, but I haven't been able to. Them being able to write the book is definitely the outcome that they're after, but the reason they haven't been able to write the book probably is pervasive throughout their life. It probably impacts everything. They might hesitate to go out on dates, but say that they want a life partner. They might say they want to start a business, but they haven't done more than 20 minutes of Googling about it in the last 10 years. They might want to go for another degree or certification, but find themselves always kind of pulling back at the last minute. And so the intake process is really about figuring out what is really consciously creating the issues before you go into hypnosis and do the detective work. Once you have a pretty good idea of what you want to work on, which might be the most important thing to do in an RTT session, is pick the appropriate thing to work on. Again, there's what they're saying to you, and then what's actually beneath what they're saying. And then the induction into hypnosis, making sure they're nice and deep. Now going through and identifying scenes in that usually 7 to 12-year-old, but it could be different from person to person, and figuring out what's really happening, where these thought patterns or these beliefs came from. And then you start choosing these tools, and RFPI is one of those tools to say, okay, so this person, as an example, hasn't been able to write that book or hasn't been able to go on those dates that they say they really want. There is a role, a function, a purpose, and an intention of those negative beliefs that are holding them back. For some reason, it's positive in their life. And so in RFPI, Kira is going to help you identify something. So in the chat right now, what's something that you'd like to look at or something you'd like to identify in your life and figure out, there's something that's not happening that you say you want to happen. Someone says procrastination. Someone says their weight, success, why they're still single, stop smoking, feeling stuck, writing a new book, fear of sales, giving up smoking. These are awesome. So, Kira, any questions, any intake that you need to do with the audience before we go through the exercise?
Oh, I love seeing all of these answers in the chat. It shows how much self-awareness people have today. And that is really a good sign in your healing and in your growth. So I think we can work with all of these, or most of the ones that I'm seeing, because they're all around self-sabotage and self-limitation. So that's a great candidate for this tool. What I would say is if there's something that you've already tried to take action on and that hasn't been enough or it doesn't work, so choose a topic that you've maybe been working with for a while and you can't seem to get your breakthrough. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be something that sounds like a small thing, like procrastination, but actually isn't a small thing because it affects how you live your life from day to day. But a lot of the things I'm seeing in the chat are really relevant, and make it specific as well. So I often think of RTT as like an equation or like a machine. So if you plug something in really specific on this end, you're going to get a really specific, powerful result on that end. If it's too vague, you might not get the same level of results. So if for example, you've chosen procrastination, fear of something, get really specific. So, what specifically are you procrastinating on? I often find that people say, oh, I'm a procrastinator, but actually, there are areas of their life where they don't procrastinate. So, think about what is the area specifically that I procrastinate on? Or what is the area specifically where I keep saying I'm going to change and I don't, or I keep trying to make a difference and it doesn't work? The more specific you are, the more powerful this exercise is going to be today.
So, Kira, would an example of specificity be like, Okay, generally speaking, I hesitate or procrastinate booking. Like I say I want to do a quarterly retreat with myself and I
Hmm.
want to have like alone time, but I really procrastinate doing that. Although I don't procrastinate other things, but for some reason, that one in particular, I haven't done it in over a year, but I say I want to do it every 3 months. Is that something I could bring?
Yeah, that would work. So you want to be able to phrase it as a question of why do I X or why do I not X? So why do I not book that retreat? Or I've seen some things here about public speaking, for example. So why is it that I'm really talkative, but I'm with my friends, but when I have to give a presentation at work, I falter. I get nervous, my voice quivers, whatever your version of that is. Why is it that I X, Y, or Z?
Fantastic. I feel like a lot of people have really good stuff. We're ready when you're ready.
Yeah. I can see lots of great things coming in here. We're going to get some good equations going on. So, because this is an open exercise, we're not going to do a full hypnosis. We're going to use this tool with relaxation. And that really speaks to the power of the tools. They work amazingly with hypnosis, but even without full hypnosis, they're still very effective. So, we're going to use the role, function, purpose, and intention tool on ourselves. We're not going to do it in hypnosis because we don't have all the support available to you for that. But just enjoy this exercise. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You can't do it right or wrong. It's really just about answering the questions honestly and seeing what comes up for you. You might notice I'm going to ask you some questions shortly, and they're about the role, function, purpose, and intention that self-sabotage or whatever the pattern is that you're trying to change is playing in your life. And the questions are going to seem repetitive. They're intentionally so because we find that when we ask the same question in this way, it starts to peel back the layers. So don't be concerned by that. It's deliberate. And let's see what comes up. So let's imagine that the self-sabotage or the patterns, say it's the quavering voice when or the quivering voice when you're giving a presentation, or the not booking that self-care time, or the never starting or never finishing that book project, that part of you that holds you back and doesn't take the action or literally sabotages you when you're trying to give a presentation. Let's imagine that that part of you is inside of you and you can talk to it. And so it might help you for this exercise to close your eyes. As I say, we're not doing hypnosis, but sometimes just closing your eyes, I'll do it with you for a minute. That also helps us get grounded and in touch with ourselves. It could even be that this part of you is almost like an inner child whose needs were never met. And so it's trying to get those needs met now in ways that are no longer serving you. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable to do so, if you're in a place where it's safe to do so. And it's January. It's a new beginning. So give yourself these few minutes. We're going to be about 10 or 15 minutes together in this exercise. Just give yourself 10 or 15 minutes to get curious and close your eyes if you can do so. And take a deep breath in through your nose. And just hold that breath for a second. And then breathe out through your mouth. So we're doing some breathing here just to get you relaxed. And take another deep breath in through your nose. And hold that breath for a second. And then release out through your mouth. And then take another breath in through your nose, a deep one. Hold it for a second. And this time, as you breathe out, let any tension that's been resting on your shoulders, anything that belongs back in 2024, let it out as you breathe out. And keeping your eyes closed, I want to imagine that you can look inside of yourself, that you can see inside of yourself, and you can see that part of you that has come up with this self-sabotage that's holding you back. Just imagine that you can see inside of yourself and maybe identify with the part of yourself that's holding you back. Maybe you can feel it. Maybe it lives somewhere inside of you. Maybe it's in your gut. Maybe it's tension in your shoulders or your neck. Maybe it's heaviness in your back. Or maybe you can't feel it, but you can just imagine that it's somewhere. Maybe placing a hand on your stomach will help. So imagine, I'm going to give you some phrases and I want you to repeat them or say them to yourself, but using your own name. So here's an example. If I were doing it for myself, I would say, I am the part of Kira that is still sabotaging herself. So think about what that means for you. What is the phrase that you're going to put in there? I'm the part of Kira, or whatever your name is. I'm the part of your name that is doing X, Y, or Z, holding me back in some way. And we're going to talk to that part of you. So give it permission to speak. So repeat after me. I'm the part of your name that came up with this issue. And say the words to yourself, either quietly or out loud even. What is your issue? What is the thing that's troubling you? And my role in my life is to just fill in the blanks there. And you can just say it to yourself and see what comes up. So my role in my life is to, what's the answer that comes up? And I need to do this because, see what comes up. The first thing that comes up, it might not make sense. That's okay. So let's try another layer. Let's ask again. I am the part of, put your name in there, that came up with this pattern. And my function in my life is to fill in the answer there, fill in the blank. And I need to do this because, what's the first thing that comes into your mind? We're going to do two more. So if you're finding this easy, that's brilliant. That means you're very receptive. And if you're finding this a challenge, that's okay. Persist. That's part of breaking the pattern. So just try and see what comes up and don't judge the answer. So even if the answer is, I feel really frustrated and angry that I can't find an answer, that's great. Something's coming up, an emotion's coming up for you. So channel into that. So we're going to do two more rounds. I am the part of, put your name in there, that came up with this pattern. And my purpose in my life is to fill in the blank. And I need to do this because, what's the answer? And we're going to do one more round. See what comes up here. I am the part of, whatever your name is, that came up with this pattern. And my only intention in my life now is to fill in the blank. And I need to do this because, see what comes up. So just take a moment to think what's come up for you. It might be the case that you had some answers to those questions which were the same each time. That's great. And it might be that they were different answers, and that might feel confusing, but that's good. That's probably why you haven't solved this issue yet, because there's some confusion in the role. So whatever came up for you, it's a start. It's a start on the path to healing. And you might find that there are some patterns in your answers. So someone said self-sabotage, someone said protection. Protection's come up a few times. I deserve to be free and I deserve to be liberated. So isn't it interesting? Sometimes the reason behind the self-sabotage is actually positive. I deserve to be free. So if you feel comfortable, feel free to share your answers in the chat. Brilliance, safety, not worthy, I don't feel good enough. These are brilliant answers. And you might find that your answers come under one of these three categories. Often, our self sabotage or our pattern of holding ourselves back is trying to protect us in some way. Wow, I'm seeing lots of things coming up in the chat. It might be trying to protect us. Let us know in the chat if that's you. Is your self sabotage actually trying to protect you? Sometimes it's actually trying to punish you. Maybe you were outshining a sibling when you were younger, or maybe you felt like a burden on your parents and you felt bad and you didn't know what to do with that and you started punishing yourself. So that can be an interesting one. And then finally, the third reason behind our self sabotage could be actually making our needs a priority. So again, counterintuitive, a positive reason, but it creates some dysfunction. So I can see a few coming up. I deserve to flourish. I deserve to be free. Wow, what's resonating with you here, Skip, in the chat?
I'm seeing a lot of patterns here. One of the interesting ones is a lot of people talking about shining, fear
Mm,
of shining too bright. I deserve to shine, making my own needs a priority, showing my real self, recognition.
yeah, it's amazing what comes up. And we've only were doing that for about 10 or 15 minutes. We didn't use full hypnosis. So well done for everyone who gave that exercise a go. It just shows how intuitive and intelligent you are because you were able to come up with those answers without full hypnosis. And if you found that exercise challenging, that's okay. Just give yourself a bit of recognition that you tried today. That's already a pattern interrupt in itself. And if something came up for you that was a bit unexpected or a bit unsettling, be kind to yourself. So maybe just take a few deep breaths to be supportive to yourself or share in this community right now if you feel comfortable to do so. And maybe spend some time later today journaling on what's come up for you and what's the positive about having unearthed that today.
Absolutely. Just reading the comments, so many fantastic ones. So, imagining in a full RTT session, when you work with someone on this, you're doing that intake, you're exploring what it is that they're coming to you for. Ideally, you've created an offer and a package, which we talk about in the business classes, that is really your ideal person, someone you're really confident in saying, I've been there before. I understand where you're at because I was that. And now we're going to go to this next phase or this next level of your life. And we do the intake, bring them into a full hypnosis, which is significantly deeper, but a similar feeling to what you just had. And we explore where these beliefs came from that have created potentially the circumstances of their life now. And the RFPI tool is so interesting because you don't necessarily consciously have an awareness of why these things are serving you or how they're serving you. And that's why I saw some people commenting in the chat when Kira asks those questions and you just say, hey, whatever comes up, just say it or just allow it to come through. And you say, oh, I do this because, and Marissa will do this. She'll do this in conversation with me. She will literally just start doing this if we're just having a like a coffee talk. And she'll say, oh, why do you think that is? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, Skip, say, I do this because, and fill in the blank. And when you do that, words just sort of come to you. And then she just giggles in her very Marissa way. And it works pretty consistently. And then given the context of a session, it's such a powerful, powerful tool. So I'll pick it up from there. And this is what you're learning in module 6 through 10 are the various tools and why they exist. Just to clarify, can everybody here still hear me? Awesome. Perfect. So we go through the rest of the tools, the transformation, and really give you the ability to create an incredible session experience with people. In the following modules, we start talking about how to prepare yourself for real clients with real challenges. into the final modules, which is establishing your practice, protecting it, really starting a business, and then we go into the business modules after that. Marissa is pretty involved. She's done a ton of master classes that you can go and watch. We have some scripts to get you going, although we like and encourage you to write your own scripts and be really adaptable with those scripts per client. Kira is a master at this, at being able to really customize to the language of the client in front of you. There's a knowledge assessment and a practical assessment. So we check through multiple choice your actual knowledge, but we also watch you do a session and make sure you're excellent. And then if you don't pass, we test again. There's some essential training. This is things for safeguarding because you will be working potentially, depending on your clientele, with people that becomes really important. So let's talk about how this actually works. In this online experience, you've got a one-on-one onboarding call and some support calls after that with the same person. There's 4 virtual classrooms. Each one of those is 4 hours long. So it really is like a full classroom experience with a break in the middle. You're there with our trainers from around the world, and you're there with our head of faculty, and she's an amazing person that you'll meet. You've got 4 group tutoring sessions where we'll do deeper dives into certain tools and strategies. Marissa's tutorials. Marissa comes on and does Q&A. There's a midpoint review that we'll follow up with you on when we see you've made it to a certain module. There's Ask the Team sessions and practice circles and all sorts of other things we add in on a regular basis. It's very robust. The virtual classrooms are incredible. You go into breakout rooms in threes. You are either the practitioner, the client, or an observer, and then you rotate as you practice these various tools. It's really an incredible experience. The tutoring sessions are really great. You'll dive deeper into specific tools and learn how to do it. Marissa always covers different things in her tutorials, like how to work with OCD or how to work with people on the autism spectrum. um, on her AMAs, which we're actually going to have one next week. It gets really spicy, so we'll see what happens with that. And then the midpoint review is a really incredible. It's actually one of our trainers here. The Ask the Team sessions, and of course the reflective practices, probably the most beneficial part of the training once you've learned the tools, practicing on your fellow students and then practicing on you, working on real things and practicing how to put someone into this successful subconscious hypnosis state, how to use each of these tools like Kira just used right now. And of course, there's assessments throughout the program. And if you want to go to the live in-person training, that's additive to what you do with the online training. It's 5 days. It's totally magical. You get to meet so many incredible people. I'm usually there. Marissa's, of course, always there. John Davey, a lot of incredible people. It's a really, really fun time. And you get to see Marissa live in action. And she picks 4 people to do a live one-on-one session with in front of the whole room throughout the 5 days. And so that could be you. It's pretty incredible. In addition to that, we do have the marketing resources and some business materials at the end of the course to help you get your footing and figure out what you really want to do. And then we've got a bunch of things past that, various modules on money mindset. Marissa's recorded some audios for you to get your business started there. I do the bi-weekly workshops where I just do Q&A. Sometimes the team walks you through various resources that we know will make you successful. We've got tons of continuing education opportunities like our new clinical hypnotherapy program, our rapid transformational coaching, and some other new things coming that I'm excited to announce. So from here with RTT right now, there's 2 options, the live online training or the live online training with the live in-person training. We are accredited all over the place. This is just some examples. The amount of time it takes is usually about 5 hours a week, and that takes the 10 months. If you do more than that, it can take 6 months, but no less than that because we want you to get a certain amount of time on here. And the question is, if you could change somebody's life in one session, and this is why it's so beneficial for existing practitioners, whether it's nutrition or yoga or a dietitian or a coach, and you had this skill set of being able to do a laser focused session that was 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, that really profoundly shifted someone's life permanently. What is it worth? And I teach people how to build the businesses, and I'm seeing people go from $1,000 a package up to we had someone close a $26,000 package a few days ago in the business program where I'm teaching them how to create their premium practice. So there is a wide range of capabilities depending on what you want your network and what you want to build in your future. There's lots of opportunities to upskill in the business side. Here's an example. Again, just about a month ago now, someone who had a 4K week, going to have an 8K 2 weeks pretty soon. Just various people. If you go look us up on Trustpilot, people love us. We've been around for about 10 years now, and we've got people from the original graduates that are still actually practicing, which is amazing. If you add all of this up, the modules, the classrooms, the midpoint review, the business workshops, it's worth roughly $40,000 if we were to do that in a university style education. But we've worked really hard to take that and actually reduce it. And so today, RTT online is $97.50. There are some things coming that are going to be shifting that. We've got new, bigger offerings that are coming that'll package the clinical side of it with it. But if you're on this webinar right now and you book your call, and I'll have the team drop a link, we're actually going to offer it to you for $92.50 to get started because it's 2025, it's a new year. We're really excited for everyone to get started. I'm really excited to teach you in the business side of things and to help make a huge impact on the world. Our thing is help people feel better today. And I want you to feel better and I want the world to feel better. And so the more of us there are, the better it's going to be. And I'll have the team dropping the link in the chat so you can actually book your time to have a conversation with someone on our team, answer all of your personal questions and anything that I didn't cover on this right now. However, we also do payment plans, and we are doing our own payment plans. So on the phone call, they'll explore that with you and see how you can get started for as little as 450 or 950. And then we'll do a payment plans up to 18 months, depending on where you live in the world. It's a little bit different from person to person. If you have specific questions like currencies or country questions, just book a call with the team and they'll answer all of the questions for you. Anything that I wasn't able to answer here, and some of these are quite specific. Um, but yeah, we do our own payment plans. So next steps for you would be securing your spot, and I actually have a special bonus for you today. Marissa is doing a 2-day live stream paid event where if you're signing up for RTT today, you can actually win a ticket to the More Than Enough event, which is going to be February 15th and 16th. It'll be live streamed from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. London time, and it's going to be totally incredible. On day 2, she's going to be in the Zabeel Theater in Dubai, and it's going to be a profound, life-changing experience that we want all of our grads to be able to go to because of the cost associated. It is a paid ticket, but signing up for RTT off of this masterclass, I'll make sure you're entered to win a ticket to this 2-day live streaming event. Um, I see Ariel dropping a link in the chat right here. So I know we have a very limited amount of spots because it's January and it's pretty intense. But you can see the link in there to book your slot, talk to someone, answer all the questions about it, and become a rapid transformational therapy practitioner or therapist. So if this has been inspiring, if you know that you're meant for this work, if you really want to either incorporate it into what you do now, transform yourself or transform others, this is the best time to get started. There are so many things coming this year, and the further you are along on your training, the better it's going to be as we release all of these new initiatives, as we teach even more classes at being amazing at this. And next week, we actually have a one-on-one session with Marissa that's going to be streamed to our internal community. So you can watch her do a full session and she does Q&A afterwards as well. And that's going to be pretty incredible for all of our students to see. So here, let me go to questions. There's a Q&A box where you can ask questions, and I'll start covering that now. Marissa's not coming today, but she'll be with us next week, and she'll be at the More Than Enough event. Taiskia, if you need a payment plan, just book a call with the team and they'll talk you through the various options and see. We have other programs that are less expensive, that are more introductory programs, but will still allow you to work with clients and move on your way towards RTT. So that might be a better option for you right now. And we also do payment plans for that. So if you're looking at just getting started and starting to earn money, and build your business, you can actually start with one of those more introductory programs and then move up to RTT from there. And we do really great deals for people that start with those intro programs and then move up later. Are there updates included in the course? Absolutely. We update things all the time. We add things, we update things. We're always teaching new classes and new information. So master classes are added. The business master classes happen like once a week or every other week that get logged into a file that you get forever. Um, Ariel or Kira, here's an interesting question. Jonathan Floyd asks, does RTT work with someone with aphantasia?
Oh, that is a good question. And Ariel, it'll be great to know your experiences as well. For anyone who isn't familiar with that term, aphantasia is when you have difficulty visualizing or imagining things. And as you might have seen from that exercise we did today, there was some language like look inside, imagine you can see the part of yourself that. So for someone who has difficulty seeing images in their head after hearing those words, what would be the case for them? So what we do with our programs is we look at all of the senses. In this example, we were looking at visualization somewhat, but with the way that we teach, we look at how can we get someone to use all of their senses. So the visual is just one. So how can we get someone to get in touch with their memories, maybe things that they can feel in the body, what can they hear? And I would say if you are a practitioner who is working with someone with aphantasia, then you'd have a conversation with them beforehand about how do they relate to the world? How do they experience memories? How do they recall events? Because really that's what we're looking for. It doesn't matter if they see them in the way that someone else might. It matters that they can make an emotional connection. So that's really the question. If you have aphantasia or if you're working with a client who does, is how do they experience emotional connection around events? And that's how the therapist could adapt the methodology for them.
Fantastic. Tasha asked, do we have open enrollment more than once per year? We do. I would say it'd be good to book a call just to get the layout of dates that are upcoming, so that you're aware and you can start to plan for when you want to enroll. More to come on that soon. Aw, thank you, Donna. Once you're certified, is there a requirement to recertify at any stage? No. We do have continuing education programs, and we do have a marketplace where RTT therapists will be able to go on and we will help them get clients. We already have about 100 on there, and we're adding more all the time. And to be on that platform, it's not a recertification, but there is a continuing education requirement for it so that we know you're really upskilling and training on a regular basis. The intro programs, Lily, it depends on which one you're most interested in. I would say book a call with the team and they can kind of discuss your unique situation and find the right place. Even if that's not right now, you'll have more of your questions answered and they can contact you later as new things open up. Where's the social side of RTT? Yeah, there's a lot of people, every practitioner is very different. I know a lot of people who do pro bono sessions. They'll charge a lot for their premium clients and then they will give away sessions or do very inexpensive sessions all the time. And then there's a lot of people that do community sessions as well. So not one-on-one, but they'll actually work with groups. And I know people that travel and work with students and schools and whatnot. So there's a lot of things that happen. I mean, there's about 9,000 active graduates and 17,000 people that have taken the program. So a lot of different flavors of RTT. Kira, I wonder, do you have any stats on how many students have experienced the 5-day challenge? At this point, it's gotta be hundreds of thousands for free.
I don't have a figure on that one actually, but we get such lovely feedback about it. So I know it's impacting a lot of people.
Yeah, tremendous amount. Ooh, Ariel's gonna answer that one from Dina or Dinah. Can you please write the question that Kira asked? Oh, yeah. Do you want to remind us of the questions that you asked for RFPI, Kira? And it was called RFPI.
Sure. So really the main question you want to ask yourself or record or watch on the replay is, I am the part of me that came up with this issue, and my role in my life is to. And I need to do this because I am the part of me, we'll use your name, that came up with this issue, insert your issue, and my function in my life is to. And I need to do this because. So you repeat that question using role, function, purpose, and intention. And ideally, you'd work with an RTT therapist because they can help you actually interpret the answers. As some of you were writing in the chat, sometimes the answers were very consistent, sometimes they were contradictory. So that's where it's really of value to work with an RTT therapist who can help you disentangle and interpret the results if necessary. But that's the basic question, if that helps.
Anonymous attendee, love that name, said, do we still have free support from you once we paid and did the full RTT program? I think there's levels to answer that at. Um, as an example, the business workshops that I teach are for everyone forever without any additional payments. So if you're in the certification program, for as long as you look at when I'm hosting those, you can come to those and look at the recordings of those. There's a lot of other levels of support. Some of those are paid and some of those are free, but it comes with all of those things that I mentioned. Once you've graduated and used all of those support functions, then we offer additional support at like reasonable cost if you feel like you need even more. Leah said she's created a hypnosis recording for herself and is listening to it daily and 6 days in a row. That's awesome. How many hours do you get for practicing before looking for your own clients? A lot, and everyone's a little bit different. Some people I know practiced for 3 years before they looked for paid clients. So it just sort of depends on the person. Wahida, I would email, and here, I'm going to type you an answer on that one. Email support@marissapeer.com for that one, because that is quite technical. Yeah, and Theodosia, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is an awesome name, said, do you need to study psychology first? No. So you don't have to have a psychology degree or background to study this, which is why it's a 10-month program and quite comprehensive. Marissa's a psychologist. How can you compete with psychologists? Well, we're not competing with psychologists. They are able to do things that we would not recommend an RTT therapist or practitioner do. Very, very different things. Kira, do you want to speak to that a little bit in more technical terms?
I think you nailed it there. We don't try and compete with psychotherapists or psychiatrists, absolutely not. So if someone requires medical care, if they have a diagnosed mental illness, for example, then that's something that they should be working on with support of a qualified professional. Sometimes we have graduates who have previously studied psychology or have other medical qualifications who might work with more complex issues. But even then, I would always recommend making sure that your client is also being supported by a qualified medical professional. But there are so many people out there in the world who need help. The person who can't, who just wakes up dreading going to work, because they know they need to leave that situation and they can't quite do it. Or the person who is not able to give presentations or not able to stand up for themselves or stand up for their boundaries. That might not qualify as a mental illness, but it's very distressing. So there is no shortage of people out there that need help and would benefit from these tools. So we don't need to compete with psychologists or psychotherapists.
Yeah, it's a question of how can we serve the whole world. Mhm. What would be a great course to take before you jumped into the full RTT online course? I Am Enough. I Am Enough would be a fantastic starter course to take. Rasha, I would recommend booking a call with the team to answer that one because it's very specific. RTT growing worldwide. Is it growing worldwide? Uh, we are definitely global. I'm not aware of any countries where we don't have someone who has taken the course. Graduates is a little bit different and like currently living in, but I've seen some pretty wild ones. Like Eritrea, I don't think we have any RTT people. Um, I have seen Democratic Republic of the Congo, so even really obscure places that you wouldn't imagine have it. Again, actively working there, I'm not sure, but from there. Is there a difference between RTT and RTC? We'll cover that one in a few weeks with Kira. We'll be back online, this little combo, and we'll talk about that more. Individual RTT can be looked at with Marissa through this website right there, Yvonne. And for that one, Wahida, you said, how can you access the business support session? I'm going to say email support@marissapeer.com and they'll help you find that if you're already a student or graduate. How long would you say we need to work with a client in referring to this specific rapid therapy, Kira?
How long,
I could go on and on about it, but I'll let you take that one.
how long would you work with a client typically? Hmm. Yeah, so I'll tell you what I do in my business. Some RTT therapists work differently, but what's kind of typical and the way I like to work is I like to work with a client on one issue at a time when I'm doing RTT. So some of you asked about RTC, which is coaching. So that could be better for multiple issues. But if you're an RTT therapist, you want to pick one topic at a time. Specific is better. And in that one topic, we would focus on that issue for about 3 to 4 weeks. We'd have an introductory call, like Skip said, an intake session. We'd really nail down what the client works on. And then we'd schedule in the full RTT session. And then I would give my client a audio recording where we would really embed the messages and the learnings from that RTT session in a way that's personalized for them. And then I get my clients to listen to that every day for 21 days. And then after that, I have a follow-up session with them. So as you can see, that's about a 3 to 4 week period per issue. And then we would look at their progress. Ideally, the issue is shifted and they are completely free of that pattern. Or maybe we've revealed that more work needs to be done, in which case you might drill down further and an even more precise definition of the issue now that you've peeled back the first layers and work on them or work on that issue again in the same format. So some RTT therapists, they have a specialism, might work a little bit differently, but typically you'd want to be allowing about 3 to 4 weeks per issue to give your client time to listen to their audio recording for at least 21 days, because that really helps seal in the new mindset that they've worked on.
If someone is brand new to being a therapist, coach, or other type of helper like this, and if your primary goal is to help yourself first, how can you know whether this is the right type of work for you to pursue? We have a class coming up on the 21st of January called the Hypnotherapy Foundations Workshop. You'll be hearing about that soon in your email. I would start with that. So check your emails and we'll announce that class soon. That'll be a 3 hour kind of classroom. It is a paid workshop. We'll have trainers coming in and it'll be kind of like a mini pre-RTT classroom. And I would attend that if, you know, you are serious about getting into this, but you're not fully committed yet. Do you teach a beginner how to market this business? All the time. As a matter of fact, the person that I referenced earlier who just closed a $26,000 package for someone, I was really worried about her business 3 months ago when I met her. And she's in a group program. It's not one-on-one. And now she is in the lead, proverbially speaking, for January amongst a whole group of people building their businesses at an intense level. So I think anyone can be successful, but it does require time, training, and mainly reprogramming your mind. That upcoming 3 hour session, I'm not exactly sure, but you'll see the emails on it soon. Do you guys help you receive clients? Yes and no. I would say blanket statement is a no, but there are things coming that are at odds with me answering in that way. So no, but maybe. So just stay on the lookout. We definitely teach you how to attract your own clients, but it is building your own business. So it is work. It is learning a lot about yourself, really confronting your confidence, um, mastering messaging. And then if you're good, as our marketplace grows, you'll be able to attend the clinical program or some continuing education and then come onto our marketplace where we will help you receive clients. But you will still close them and need to understand the sales process, which I teach. It's really cool. I'll take just a couple more here and I think we have to go. What is oh, here you go, Kira. What's the difference between being a therapist and a coach or an RTT therapist and a coach?
Oh, thank you, Skip. Thought you'd never ask. So there are lots of ways of defining it. Skip's lobbing that question to me because, as I said, I'm also a coach and I love coaching as a modality. For me, coaching is great to work on defining the problem. So I might even coach an RTT client before I do RTT with them. It helps peel back the layers and define the problem. Sometimes the problem isn't really a problem, it's just the way you're looking at it. So if the knot is looser, coaching is often a great modality to unlock it. If someone needs strategies, so if I had someone come to me for an RTT session who was having difficulty applying for an academic position. And I said, let's just use this session as a coaching session, and I'm going to work with you on that now. So I think the difference is really if someone needs to understand themselves better, if they are looking for implementation and being held accountable and someone to brainstorm with and really disentangle their thinking better at a conscious level, coaching is a great modality for that. If someone's already talked around the issue and feels like they've talked it out to death and they understand it from all viewpoints, and yet that's not getting them anywhere, then they probably need to go beyond talking about it and look at the subconscious level. So for a client like that, when there's something in your life that doesn't make sense, for me, I've used RTT for myself on some physical issues where it didn't really make sense. I used RTT for that because it helped me understand the wisdom of my body better. So if talking hasn't worked, if the analysis hasn't shown anything that's helpful, then you might want to get out of analysis and into the emotions, and RTT is great for that.
Love it. Okay, last question. Dina slash Dinah, whichever one it is, said, how long after graduating does it usually take students to kick off their business and get their first client? It's very different from person to person. Each of us is unique and it is your own business. I recently worked with someone who they graduated and 3 days later they joined our like official accelerator program and then proceeded to make 12,000 GBP in the next 30 days. That's unusual. Results definitely vary, but that person was really committed to becoming successful and they just did everything we told them to do. I've seen other people who have been trying for 2 years with the same resources, knowledge, and materials, and they're having a really hard time getting 3 or 4 clients going at $1,000 packages. So it really comes down to your own mindset. It comes down to like what you've done in the past as well. But more than anything, it's the confidence. Um, Gosh, I could talk about that for a long time and my own personal pitfalls and stories of, building businesses over the years. But really, the more confident you are and the more you're in it for the right reasons and you're really committed to helping people. And if you listen to the things we teach in the business side, you'll be successful. And if your mindset is really tough, or if you don't feel good about it, or you're really hard on yourself, that's going to be tough. So use RTT to make it better. Okay, Kira and I need to run. I see there's a ton of questions. If you still have stuff that hasn't been answered, book a call with the team. They'll answer all your questions. They're amazing people. I know all of them. I'm sure Kira does as well. And we're super excited to have you as part of our, light army going out and helping the world feel better on a day-to-day basis. And I'm excited to see you in the various classrooms, and I'm sure Kira is as well. And yeah, super excited to meet you if you come to a live event. Thank you so much for coming in and playing full out today. Thank you so much, Kira and Ariel and the team for setting all of this up and for everybody participating in the chat so much with me. It was super fun. Honored to have you here and really grateful to be able to share this awesome information with you. And I hope to see you soon. Awesome. See you, everybody.